welcome to a new episode of the Insilico Terminal podcast. My guest today is Bitcoin Charlie, and what I like to ask in the beginning is for the guests to introduce themselves. So if you could tell us a bit about who you are and what you do for the people that might not know you.
Yeah, sure, man. So my name's Charlie. I've been in crypto for far too long. I bought in 2017. I got fucked in my first cycle. I made a load of money, gave a load back. Took it a bit seriously the second cycle, so 2021 or 2020, 2021. And I've been kind of addicted / trading crypto ever since. I think I'm probably known, quote unquote, for fumbling $1 billion worth of SHIB, which is probably one of the big bags that I've fumbled. And for alt rotations and like spaghetti, so the comparison charts. So I trade that a lot.
What made you
Yeah,
first
it's
get into
probably me.
crypto?
One of my mates, we were, classic story, all sat on a WhatsApp group together. One of them's like, we're all gamers from way back when. And they started talking about how they were making money out of this, various cryptos. And I was like, this sounds interesting. So jumped in. I read the Bitcoin pizza story, and one of my mates who's like studying as a doctorate PhD or whatever in computer science said, Bitcoin's a scam. And I was like, all right, I'll trade some Forex instead then. So I lost £1,000 in Forex trading.
Really?
This is like, like in 15 years ago or whenever it was. Yeah. Instead of getting into Bitcoin, which is totally my like choice, right? Not blaming anyone else.
Yeah.
But you always think back and you go, oh, maybe I should have got addicted to crypto like 12 years ago, whenever the fuck it was.
So you were already into
But
trading
yeah.
before getting into crypto?
No, I kind of wanted to trade, so I was an accountant before that. So like there's a lot of stuff in there that makes you quite risk averse, following processes and doing all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like transferable skills, but I guess I was fascinated by money, and that's why I got into accountancy to start with, which was completely a fucking wrong choice. But then when I found kind of trading in the form of foreign exchange stuff, I was like, wow, this is fascinating. And then when I found crypto, this was like, yeah, this makes total sense. Like Bitcoin that is just transferable money, store of value across the internet, across the ether. Like I never really understood why we had more than one currency anyway, like when I was young. Do you know what I mean? And then Bitcoin kind of came along and it just made total sense.
So you weren't
The only
just
bit that
looking at
didn't.
it as a way to make money, but like you were in it for the tech?
Yeah, no, I was genuinely like originally I was in it to kind of gamble and just have a bit of fun, and then I got fully in it for the tech, like particularly Bitcoin, right? That's why I call myself BTC Charlie. So the origin story of BTC Charlie is I kind of wanted to get involved in Twitter and stuff. After the first like cycle, I was like, oh, this is actually quite interesting. I want to talk with like-minded people. I'm gonna stay. Like a lot of my mates that we all did that first cycle together, would text each other every day, like, oh my god, I just printed 10 grand on smart cash. What's this? Like, like, have you invested in Dragon Chain, boys? It's the Disney coin that's coming. Like, I'm triggering sort of Warzone memories for people who are there. But they all pretty much all of them decided to quit. But I was one of those that stayed, and I kind of thought, well, I'll surround myself with like-minded people. What is crypto? Golden ticket, and Charlie's born. And I was very much a believer that alts are used to stack more Bitcoin. Although I did smoke my own dope on a few coins, a few memes, a few projects like Rune, for example. Interoperable across multiple blockchains, like DeFi ecosystem. Like I made a lot of money on that because I bought it, I held it for a long time, and didn't cheat it, so to speak. But yeah, it's been a journey of ups and downs over like 8 years, but overall up absolutely massively.
You kind of just activated my memory when you said Rune, because like I remembered it's like quite a thing a couple of years ago. Like it's a Thor chain, right? And I haven't heard of it since.
Yeah, Thor chain.
Like 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, Thor chain was kind of what I thought it would be anyway, which is just, I can swap this currency for that currency. But anyone in the 2017 cycle will remember that you had to like move between Bitcoin or altcoins. They're all old BTC pairs, right? So you traded like ETH BTC. You didn't trade ETH USDT.
Yeah.
It was like you wake up and your entire alt portfolio is fucking wrecked because Bitcoin's run. Or the opposite, right? Your alts are up like 40% in a day.
Mm-hmm. So what was your trading like back in the first cycle?
First cycle was horrendous, mate. I bought stuff because there was rumors of a logo change. Absolutely fucking horrendous.
The classics.
Like, yeah. I mean, it's 2x, right? They might change their logo, right?
Yeah.
Price has gone up twice, like 2x. Insane. But yeah, it was just terrible. I over allocated. I did cash out like 10x what I put in, but then I ran that up, the remainder up like 33x.
Mhm.
And then I pretty much round tripped that to minus like 70% from the peak. And it was just
Yeah.
like, wow, I've given back so much money. So I had no strategy. I had nothing other than, my mate said this looks good. And it was just yeah, pointless. And then when I came back, like I literally physically cashed everything out. Physically cashed every penny out of crypto and just went, right, if I'm doing this, I'm doing it properly. I wrote a business plan, I wrote an allocation plan, I wrote I'm gonna be 25% exposed to Bitcoin and ETH at all times. I'm gonna be 25% trading, etc. etc. I'm gonna be 25% like alt bags that I want to hold forever. It's like Thor chain being one of them. Sorry, my dog's in with me.
Yeah.
Um and yeah, like I literally took it like super seriously. But again, this was like the accountant in me who wanted a business plan, who wanted a budget, who wanted everything kind of locked in.
Mm-hmm.
But it also meant that I didn't have to think about things when things changed too much. So, like, I'll give you an example. When NFTs went on a massive run, I'd already said I can allocate X percentage of my portfolio to it. But then when that percentage of my portfolio grew from like, 5% of my fuck around portfolio to actually this is like a substantial bit of my net worth now, it was like, okay, we got to have some rules to kind of deal with this and reduce my exposure essentially. So like I bought a Beeple for $1 and sold it for 100 and something thousand.
Yeah.
So, there were like it was just crazy times like during NFT mania, right? It was mental. You mint some NFT, it's number one in the collection, instantly sold it for 60K, like, just a picture of some fucking spider or some shit. Like it's just mental.
Did you still have your job during the first cycle, or after like you made the losses?
So during the first cycle, no, I'd kind of just finished up. Um, and yeah, I've not had the pain of doing, quote unquote, a full-time job and trading and investing and doing crypto together. So yeah, that could be, I understand why people struggle and I understand why people like, can't sit and stare at 1 second spaghetti charts all day, which is pretty much what I do to find what's strong, what's weak, and what the outliers are, and so on and so forth. Yeah, but it's one of those things where you kind of go like, how do I put it? You either go all in and you kind of bet on yourself, I think, or you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, if you've got the capital to do it, you absolutely kind of should. If you're kind of supporting a wife and 2 kids and, you've got bills to pay, a mortgage to pay and all that kind of stuff, like I totally get that you can't just go balls deep. But, at some point you have to take risk. Otherwise you're just going to end up doing what everyone else has always done, right? And I know it's very easy for me to say in my like luxurious position of being a 3 cycle pleb. But yeah, it's at some point, I don't know, and again, I'm not trying to be a lifestyle coach or guru or any bullshit like that, but at some point you have to take a risk, otherwise you're just gonna, be the same as everyone else.
Mm-hmm. So how did you like manage the environment of 2018 and 2019 when it was kind of boring, nothing was really happening?
I was trading a lot, trying out various different systems. I subscribed to a few different paid groups. I studied a lot of people like on Twitter, like not just like blindly copy traded, right? Never really did that. Well, I did that in 2017, that's a lie. You know, I was just like, oh, Crypto Macho said about this new shitcoin that could 100x. Like 2 minutes later, it's fucking zero. Like, cheers, mate. But yeah, no, I started following like traders like Trader XO, SC, CBS, like other people who were trading, so who actually, you know, out there doing I'm gonna buy here. If it goes below here, I'm cutting my losses, and that's it. And you know, eventually, I kind of built my own system. And then I built various other systems based around EMAs, based around Renko, based around Div,
Hmm.
based around sort of high time frame levels, you know, all that kind of wonderful stuff. And eventually I got really comfortable with, you know, I was always trying to chase the big winner,
Yeah.
you know, the big winner of the day, the big rotation. And it kind of speaks to my personality, I guess, because I'm the one that likes, you know, if you're playing a game like a World of Warcraft or something, I want the big spell that's gonna hit hard and fucking take him from 100% health to zero. Like I want the one shot, you know what I mean? I want to be doing that, not just rotting people down or whatever. And I say that because I think trading and trading styles have to kind of match your personality. And like, I don't have, especially these days, like huge amounts of patience. So playing like low time frame rotations and trying to buy like the strongest coin, which is exactly what Spaghetti tells you,
Hmm.
just plays into like me and my personality style, if that makes sense.
And that's like what you already discovered back in like 2020,
Yeah,
21 or something?
yeah, that was kind of 2018. It was probably more 2019, I suppose, when we had runs like Matic. I'm trying to think what other kind of big trades or trade opportunities there were back then. It's kind of all a bit of a blur. It was Matic, there was like Theta, there was a few kind of big sort of breakout trades, do you know what I mean? But the
Hmm.
market was really focused on one or two altcoins. And if
Hmm.
I compare that to like nowadays, you know, it was Zcash, you know, however many months ago it was now, like 2 months
Yeah.
ago, whatever, before Christmas, like that had a massive run. And I traded that several times to the upside. I traded it literally at the Pico top. I longed it at like $700 or something. I
Yeah.
took a loss on it, but that's the strategy, right? You basically long these really strong assets again and again and again until it fails once or twice, and you've made a lot more in the upswings than you have in the one or two losses that you take at the end. That's
Hmm.
just it's just part of it, right?
And you mostly do that, well, day trading, so like on lower time frames?
Yeah, I mostly do it intraday these days. So like, you know, I won't go to bed with with open positions. You know, most things will be closed. But I do some 4 hour swings here and there, right? Particularly like Bitcoin. Like I will buy Bitcoin. I've bought Bitcoin a couple of times. Like I bought Bitcoin a few times on the uptrend. I
Hmm.
bought again at like 110K and I sold that at like 108 or something. I tried again at 90 something, I think, and I took like a 2% loss on that or whatever it was. So you know, it's not like I'm not trying to long Bitcoin or do some swing plays, but I don't do that as much anymore. And I was quite lucky. I kind of risked off massively when we got to like 124 or something.
Hmm.
It was on like the 8th of October. I remember that day. It's burned into my brain. So a couple of days before 10:10.
Yeah.
And yeah, since then I've been pretty fatigued in terms of general market and trying to play intraday rotations on alts and stuff. It's just there's not much there. There's not like any like majorly clear narratives to me at least.
Hmm.
And I think the kind of risk reward of trading actively in these conditions, you know, with size and trying to really run it hard, it's just not there for me at
Hmm.
this like moment in time. But yeah, when I start seeing things pop up again, like a Zcash running or something like that, then I'll mostly be intraday trading it.
Is your like
And you
trading
know, I've
style is your trading style kind of similar to like what Hasaka used to do?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah. So Hasaka was a big kind of influence on me because he was one of the ones who sort of not adopted the relative strength chart, but he did it in Excel,
Hmm. Really?
and then it was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. There's I can't remember what like or when he did it right, but he definitely did it in Excel.
Oh wow.
Um, and it was like he did like a bar chart of like these are the best performing assets, you know, over X period or whatever. And when he did that, and then when I found out that there was like the ability to do that in TradingView. You know, I used to send him Excel memes because we both used to meme about like Excel, because I used to do some work in Excel as well. Like
Yeah.
being a former accountant, I used to get a load of API stuff from like CoinGecko and piss around with that and see what was going on off that. But you know, it was a bit of a scanner. Um, but yeah, as soon as I sort of found that combination of like price action, momentum, and relative strength, to me, that was like, you know, that was the kind of the trifecta, if you like, of all right, well, I know which alts are kind of pumping. I understand how and when to get in them, and I understand the signs that they are losing a high time frame momentum. And when you kind of put all that together, it becomes quite a not a simple trading system, right? I'm not going to like try and oversell it, but to me, it just clicked as a, yeah, this makes total sense. You know, I'll keep playing Zcash or whatever it might be until we lose that strength.
Do you play downside as well?
I do, but my downside is very different to upside. So I use more price action to the downside. So everyone asks like, Charlie, or how do you short using spaghetti? And the answer is I don't really. Um I use it as a bit of confluence to say that if it's one of the weaker alts, so like Pippin's a really good example. Pippin had a really good few days, whilst everything else was dead. And now, you know, it is pretty shite, or it was
Yeah.
earlier when I looked. Yeah, it's relatively weak. So if you were in a short on Pippin because the price action kind of told you that you should be, because there's like a nice lower high after the big spike, you know, big kind of push up that failed, got absorbed, pushed back, and then you've got relative weakness, you know that you shouldn't be closing that for like a 1% move. Do you know what I mean? You should be trying to hold that. So it doesn't give me entry criteria normally for shorts, but it does give me confluence and confidence to swing some of my shorts. But most of the time I'm short BTC if I'm shorting anything. I'm currently short Jelly Jelly at the minute, and I'm short that from like something ridiculous. But yeah, and again, that relative weakness tells me that I can hold this for some time because pretty much the entire market is pumped. But Jelly Jelly and Pippin are just shit in the bed. So
Why do you mostly choose Bitcoin to short?
because I've still got some Bitcoins that are just, spot hedge against global collapse and all that kind of stuff. And we can talk about like next cycle or that kind of stuff in a bit if you want. But yeah, it feels stupid not to have like at least one Bitcoin. And I know that's like an ambitious goal for a lot of people. But yeah, even if it went to zero, it's still it'll be a relic of an era gone by. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm often like it's always interesting on Twitter, isn't it? And I always like take everything with a pinch of salt, and I always encourage people to do the same, even when you're looking at my tweets or stuff like that. You don't know my net position, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't know that I'm short 100 Bitcoin. Amazing. Wow, what a fucking Chad trade. If I've got 1,000 Bitcoin in spot, fuck. I am deep under the water. I bought them all at 125k. Do you know what I mean? My
Yeah.
execution's as bad as Sailor. Like you just don't know, and people can just laugh. They just fucking lie.
Yeah.
They could just say, "Oh, that's this." You don't know what people have got covered. You don't know, whether that was their 10th trade of the day that they're flexing or whatever it might be. But yeah, that I'm mostly short in Bitcoin because I was saying to one of my friends actually, like XO, that I was literally spamming him on the week of October, like just going like it's fucking over, mate. I just can't. But I can't tweet it. I can't like tell everyone that like, I think the market's fucked because everyone just unfollows you and says you're bearish, you're retarded, and I was like, "Oh, I can't be bothered with the backlash and the drama."
Yeah.
Just quietly sold everything, put a message out in the group saying, "Yeah, I'm pretty much done. I've got some spot BTC, and that's it, boys." And then, a couple of days later, entire market's fucked, and I've just been pretty risk off since then.
Yeah.
In hindsight, probably should have taken on a bit more of an aggressive short position across multiple alts, or at least ones that had the structure to do it. But you know, I always sit back and look, and then I hear all the stories of everyone being liquidated and stuff, and I'm like, boys, what? Like, I know people who've been in this space for as long as me and have blown the fuck up, and you're
Yeah.
like, what? One of the guys who gave me SHIB, like literally gave me SHIB, um, he he must have ran his account up to several million and then nothing about 5 times.
That's crazy.
And I just, yeah. I don't get it. I cannot do that. I do not have the risk appetite. You know, I
So
just don't. You're not gonna.
you've like never blown up before to that degree?
No, no. And I know that sounds like really retarded, and I'm not trying to sound like, oh, I'm a fucking baller, because I'm not. Like, I should either be, 10 figures, or broke, really, the amount of exposure I've had to crypto. But I'm not. I'm slow and steady, and that's the accountant in me, right? I'm gonna manage my risk. At almost every single point in my like last 8, 9 years in crypto, however long this fucking been, I've known my exposure almost all the time. Like,
Yeah.
as in, if the market goes down 50%, how fucked in the ass am I gonna get? If the market goes down 100%, am I telling the wife and daughter we've got to move out? Do you know what I mean? Like, I know the answer to those questions. Like, and I always have, and I've always asked myself, am I happy with these chips on the table?
Yeah.
Because it's all a number you can cash out at a point in time. If you're up £500,000 and you've got, minus 2 grand in your bank account, yeah, what you doing?
Yeah. No, I can definitely
But
do
again,
that.
that's
Like I'm
that's
also
my
very
risk
very risk
tolerance.
averse. I don't really like to lose too much money or to like. I don't think I would ever blow up or whatever. I'm pretty conservative. And I also like
Yeah.
kind of like the slow and steady stuff a bit more. It's just I don't know. I'm like allergic to losing money. I just don't like it.
Yeah, same. And don't get me wrong, I put my foot on the gas sometimes, right? There were times when the to be honest, I haven't done it for a while, but the one that always stands out in my mind is there was the XRP case where they won their case
Yeah.
against the Circle, whenever it was. And it literally, like, I was looking at it on Spaghetti, it went up 4% in the blink of an eye. And I was like, what the fuck is that? I was like, oh my God, we were all kind of sat there waiting for it to happen. And then it started pulling back. And I was like, flicked onto Twitter. Sure enough, they won the case. And I was like, there is no fucking way this is a 4% move. No.
Yeah.
A plus B does not equal 4%. So I fucking slammed in size. And I rode that up for like 80% in the space of like 2 hours or whatever it was. It was mental. And the entire market ran and rallied to XRP. All liquidity got pushed into it. It was amazing.
Hmm.
Um, that was the last time that I really put the foot on the gas, which was what, 2 years ago now,
Yeah.
maybe even 3. Fuck me. That's the
Yeah.
last like
It was quite a
degenerate
while ago.
trade, and it was pretty degenerate. Like I could have lost a reasonable amount of money, and I would have been happy to do so.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't have been moving out my house or anything like that, right? It wouldn't have been. It wouldn't have been that kind of
Yeah.
scale.
So I want to talk a bit more about how the spaghetti stuff works. Like, do you just have all the
Yeah.
relevant altcoin? Or like, how do you choose which assets to put on there?
Yeah, so typically I pick stuff that is either in play because I know it's in play from Twitter,
Hmm.
or I've got a scanner that's separate that I look at and go, okay, well these alts kind of fit some criteria, volume, strength, etc. So not relative strength, but yeah, just a couple of other indicators, and then decide if they look like they are coins that I might want to trade, or if they're indicative of specific sectors.
Hmm.
So, you can't really have a spaghetti chart without Doge on it, for example. Now, do I want to trade Doge? Not particularly. But if Doge starts going massively risk on because of something, which to be honest, I can't really see ever happening again, but yeah, that's a different point. Then memes are probably going to do okay. So if you've
Yeah.
got something like Bonk that has a nice range on it and it starts breaking out, it starts getting some relative strength, then you can see that there's a rotation into memes because Doge is risk on and so on and so forth, right? That, at least for 2020, 2021, worked really well in terms of like sectoral rotations.
Yeah.
At the minute, I'm more interested in just anything that fucking moves. So playing stuff like Pippin and Jelly Jelly, even though you can't get much size with it, it is piss size. The volatility that you get as a trade-off is pretty good. It'll have 10% rotations
Hmm.
to the upside or the downside.
Is there like an average amount of stuff that you look at, or does it depend on market conditions?
It depends on market conditions, really. I mean, you can only fit, I think it's like 200 tickers on Spaghetti anyway with the like super premium or whatever it is on TradingView. But yeah, generally it's filter everything high time frame, number one, add stuff that fits the criteria, number two, which is like, it does actually have to be relatively liquid, although Jelly Jelly Pippin would be the exception. And then just add it and remove it from Spaghetti. Actually, I'm terrible at removing stuff from Spaghetti, to be honest. I always add.
So you like get in
Yeah,
the morning, sit on your desk, and then you just like look for what is showing the most relative strength and hop onto that, or?
pretty much. I mean, what I tend to do is plan the week out from a high time frame basis at the start of the week. So on a Monday, I'll sort of do an outlook and look at what's going on. Because I don't trade weekends because that's family time. It's kind of sacrilege.
Yeah.
Um, And like this week, I talked about Pippin. This week, I talked about the Bitcoin reclaim. I had triggers for kind of all of it. I had alerts set up. So Bitcoin reclaims 66 or whatever it was. Then we should get a risk on rotation. We did get that. All the alerts went off. I sat there playing WoW, which it just is what it is. But yeah, I will have high time frame levels mapped out and plans drawn out on most charts anyway that are worth trading, just as just as a result of the fact that I do this 5 days a week, and the fact that I'll stream to both Paragon and Public, and as part of that, we go over lots of different altcoins.
How do you decide the sizing of your positions, especially when there's like multiple like runners, for example, at the same time?
Yeah, it's a really good question. So I limit myself to three like alt positions at any point, right? I never go more than three. And it's largely because like alt beta is just Bitcoin really. If Bitcoin dies,
Yeah.
if you're short three coins and Bitcoin dies, you're gonna do well. If you're long three coins and Bitcoin dies, you're not gonna do so well. It's kind of just that simple. And all you're really doing is, increasing your exposure massively. But you might have good setups, and it might be a risk-on environment, which, to be honest, we haven't had for a couple of months. So yeah, I've not been doing that too much. But in answer to your question, I pretty much have consistent size, apart from, like I said, like Jelly Jelly and Pippin.
Yeah.
I don't tend to go above it, and it'll change between Bitcoin and alts, obviously, because Bitcoin's much less volatile in general than alts, and it's obviously much more liquid, and alts are much less liquid. So if you're
Yeah.
trying to clip in a decent sized position on alts, you're going to struggle a lot more to get out of it than you would for the same size Bitcoin position.
So in times like now, you're pretty much just kind of like waiting, I assume, and like looking for some place. But like your strategy, I guess, really thrives when there's a lot of market activity and some
Yeah, there is.
narratives and upside and whatever.
Yeah, put it this way. If Bitcoin breaks above like 71.5, then I'll be like absolutely crushing it on that swing up, right? That'll be where I make most of my money, and that'll be lovely, nice and easy. But I'm just trading for A, fun, and B, to keep the lights on, really.
Yeah. And I guess that you deal with the boredom by playing World of Warcraft or video games in general.
Yeah, video games, World of Warcraft, chill out in the group, shit posts on Twitter, gamble, yeah, just that kind of stuff. I should probably go out a bit more, but yeah, I've always liked computer games and stuff. And to
Yeah.
be honest, like most people during the day are like at work
Yeah.
or daughters at school and stuff. So what else am I supposed to do? Like, I don't know. Everyone's like, "Hey, retirement's going to be amazing," and then you kind of get to a semblant point where you can actually, not necessarily work every day, and you go, "Well, now what do I fucking do?"
Yeah. Most are not made for the
So yeah.
nightlife.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't know. There's actually a shitcoin called Neat, isn't there? Which I own none
Yeah, I
of,
think
by the
so.
way. Just disclosure. But that seems to be doing quite well.
Do you ever
Yeah, again, like
do anything else in crypto besides just like trade on access all the current
I've done
ones? Do you
loads
do any
loads
on-chain
of
stuff?
on-chain shit, mate. Yeah. If you wanna see 100x or minus 99x, just check my portfolio. Like, my on-chain stuff is just full of, like, there's a load of dead memes, I've played various meme rotations. I did a little bit of pump fun, not as much as I should have. I did lots of memes, so I bought, like, one of the big ones actually was Fred. So Peanut?
Yeah.
There was also Fred, the convicted raccoon, which not many people know about. I aped a fuck ton of that at like I think it was like 100k market cap or something
Yeah.
stupid like that, and it eventually went to like 250 mil, or some shit. It was fucking nuts. But like I was gonna tweet it, and I was like, I can't tweet 100k market cap project,
Yeah.
and then I was like, oh, I really wish I'd tweeted it just to get some of that fucking cred. But
Did you take
is that
profit
like
though?
yeah. I actually played it twice. I took profit on the first run up, and then I went in again at like I can't remember what it was. It must have been like 10 million, maybe 7 million. And bought a fuck ton back. Maybe it was lower. I can't remember. But yeah, I basically played the first cycle because it was within 24 hours and it was like a 200x or something stupid. And then the next one was, again, it was I think that was like a couple of weeks and then it ran to like 250 million. But yeah, it was very, very good. So I do dabble on chain. I just again, you can't really tweet about it or people I don't know, people just get fucking salty bummo, especially if they go like below your entry, right? And especially these days, it's like the expectation is that you own like 50% of the supply and you're dumping it on everyone's heads.
Yeah.
And I'm not smart enough to fucking do that or dumb enough, depending on how you look at it, right? And like, I got offers back in the day to like tweet out things like X is the next SHIB, and the amount of money that was like being offered was a lot. And
Yeah.
I didn't do it, but yeah, you kind of go like, I wonder how much clout you'd get from like actually sending a shitcoin from 100k to 250 million, or yeah, is it just easier just to sit in the fucking shadows, watch your money go to zero, and just stick to perps? Because no one really gets angry at like perps traders. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Unless you come out bearish and you say I think it's over, boys, in which case everyone fucking cries. Like,
'Cause-
look at when like EXO was shorting the shit out of Matic every day, and Matic's at like what
Yeah.
minus 99.9% now, so he
Probably.
fucking absolutely killed it. But everyone just hated it.
Yeah, people get really mad if you like short their bags. I mean, especially back then. This
Yeah,
is kind of a bit more.
yeah, people get really salty as bag holders. I tweeted something that was like, "Hey chat, rate my trade idea," and it was a short from 126k.
Yeah.
And I periodically retweet it and just be like, "Hey guys, how's everyone doing?" Yeah,
But
it's
that's kind of the part
there's a
of the
lot.
fun as well.
Yeah, that's to be honest with what's keeping me here. Like, there's a lot of people, that are awesome, and there's a lot of like smart people on CT. All right, like there's a lot of dumbasses that just got lucky and probably gave 99% of their gains back, and then just serial rugged their followers with a new pump fund meme every day or whatever. Right? There's like whole swathes of crypto Twitter that do that, and I don't know half of them are. I'm a fucking boomer, right? But there are, as I understand, and I just think like there's always some drama on CT as well, right? It's our little club. It's like, oh, who's that going to expose this week? Like, there's this big fucking. Is it tomorrow? He's dropping an article on like some massive insider trading, like
I don't know which day, but
things.
yeah, like soon, I guess. I'm interested in what to
Yeah,
see.
yeah, it's just funny, man. It's like, whoa,
Yeah.
what's gonna happen today? It's our like little weird cult. Although I think it's changed a lot over the years. Like, it was definitely like it felt like crypto in general was like a niche internet community. Right now, it's just where everyone comes to try and get rich, and yeah, or get rugged by Trump. That was one of my favorite trades actually. I shorted Trump at 30, and I
That
held
must have
it
been
till about
satisfying,
like
yeah.
Yeah, I held it to like $7 or something, and then I was like, "Yeah, if I don't close this soon, I'm actually just gonna like get my ass eaten on funding or some shit." And I was like, "Yeah, fuck this, I'm just gonna get out." But I tweeted, I was like, "I'm gonna hold this to $1," and like I don't know what it's at now, but it must
Yeah.
be fucking close.
Since you've been in crypto and trading so long, like what were some of your biggest mistakes or lessons that you learned along the years?
It's probably all of them. Like, genuinely, if there's any kind of advice that anyone's ever given on one of these podcasts, I've probably had to go through the same journey myself, right? And like, one of the biggest things is you're trading against yourself. So my big weakness was always holding things with conviction, right? Always holding things with a conviction because I always wanted to leave things like and just go, well, if I've made 10 grand today, I'll fucking take that off the table. Happy days, I can always make it back tomorrow. And the reality is that you can't because you might not get that entry again, right?
Mm.
So there's always this constant battle in your brain of, well, what if it goes back to my entry? I can buy it again, and then I get, the second trade essentially, and I can make instead of 10 grand, I can make 20 grand, and then you keep doing it and keep doing it and keep doing it. You end up like chopping yourself up, you get back in worse positions, the trade looks different. Yeah. So that was my big struggle to start with, right? Just starting to have like conviction in the markets, conviction in my ability, conviction in trading and or just holding. Yeah. That was like my big weakness and mistake. And I'm surprised that I held Rune for as long as I did, right? That was my big like I have to hold this, I have to just not fuck around with this bag,
Mhm.
and just not try and trade it. I think that
How did you get
like
better at that?
I mean, it's just like anything, it's practice. And I think for me, having that plan and having the numbers written down of if you sell this at this point, then this is what you'll make type thing.
Mhm.
And also, like one thing that I did was I always had a number that I de-risk that a percentage at. So if you hit a 10x, you have to take your initial out.
Mhm.
Have to. If you're feeling a bit spicy, take 110% out, right? Reward yourself, like fight that little barrier of hesitation and risk aversion, I suppose. And just, line the pockets a bit.
Mhm.
Keep enough for a rainy day and another go somewhere else. But stick to your plan. So whenever I enter something these days, or if I choose not to enter something for whatever reason, because the opposite is FOMO, right? We've all
Yeah.
had that thing where your mate sends you a coin and you go, meh, I'll leave it, meh, I'll leave it. And then 2 weeks later you see it and it's up 10x and you go, oh, actually, that was a really good thesis. I really like it. Maybe I'll buy some now. You buy it, it goes down 50% in a day because the mate who told you about it has just dumped it on you at 10x, right? Like, but reminding yourself why you didn't buy it and then going, okay, well, next time I hear of something new, innovative, or ridiculously retarded, like Pepe was one I wrote down.
Mhm.
Um, I saw it at 300k market cap. Eric Cryptoman called it and said, "This is it." And I was like, "I've got a million fucking Pepes on my phone. Like, I've got more pictures of Pepe on my phone than I do my wife and daughter, I think." I was like, "But I'm ill." I was so ill at that point in time. I was like, I shouldn't be fucking around with like
Yeah.
money and memes and all that stuff." And that's what I wrote down. I wrote down my little list. I'm not gonna do it. I'm not gonna play. Maybe I'll check it on Monday, see what's going on. On Monday, if it's worth like 15 million or something, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, game over.
But that's always
I
actually remember that like back then in it was like in the depths of the bear market. And I think I saw it. I
Yeah,
don't
it
know like,
was.
what market cap or what it was or whatever because I didn't even look at stuff like that back then. But I remember it was like only the like in one of the first days, everyone that I followed was shelling it, all the my lady people or whatever. And then I just
Yeah,
decided to
yeah.
fade it, not do anything, and then saw the whole run up and coped.
Yeah, yeah, so did I. I coped. And that's what I mean. That's one of those like, oh, there'll be a dip at some point. And there was actually Rune in 2023. So when we started moving out of like the bear market territory of 23, and we actually got a bit of momentum to the upside, like with a few rotations, Rune was one of the alts that I had my eye on, and it was actually one of the first alts to break out of its like massive accumulation range. And I thought, do you know what? I'll be a bit greedy. I'll wait for the pullback to long, and there was no pullback. It literally went. I had the plan for fucking ages, and it was one of those ones where I was like, Jesus Christ, I thought I'd got over this, and then there was like one of the things that slipped through the net. So even after all that time, and even after everything I try and do, I still make mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But that one trade there, or lack of trade, set me up for the next rotations.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I guess I'm quite good at adapting and just learning, and if I make a mistake, it is what it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm only fucking human at the end of the day, as is everyone. But I've done so many things right over the years that, you can stay focused on all the mistakes, or you can go, well, do you know what? I did like however many 100x on Rune. I've done, I don't know, probably like, what's my cost average? Like a 30x on Bitcoin,
Mm-hmm.
over the 7 years or whatever that I held it for. Yeah, and they were decent wins for me, let alone all the trading and everything else.
Yeah. So what are your current views on the bleak state of the
It's
current
over.
market?
It's dead. It's dead. It's done.
Is
It's
the last
done.
cycle a bit behind us?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the cycle was over back in October,
Yeah.
and I think 1010 killed it. I don't actually know, like the next cycle, if there is one, is super depressing to me, right? Because the
Why?
next cycle is, well, because to me the next cycle is everything else has failed. Because I don't know what is going to propel Bitcoin to the next leg, right?
Yeah.
And you're talking to someone who's been on a bull on Bitcoin for, coming up to fucking 10 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been bullish Bitcoin for 9 years now. I've accumulated a fuck ton of it. I've sold a fuck ton of it. I've still got some of it. So in short, I think the generational trade of buying Bitcoin off the drug lords and selling it to the bankers is done.
Yeah.
I think the only like cycle that can come now for crypto is as a result of either the traditional system has failed in some way, shape, or form, which is obviously, a scary thought in terms of, what happens to like people's pensions and things like that, and
Mm-hmm.
everyday kind of people who aren't neats, as you put it earlier.
Yeah.
Um, or it's just a genuine kind of slow burn global adoption of Bitcoin. And, some alts will pump and move a bit, but in general, you're never seeing an alt season like fucking 2021 ever again. Like,
Yeah.
people are so fucking delusional, but people like Alex Becker, like, oh yeah, alt season, yeah, mate, yeah, yeah. Like, of course that's gonna happen.
Is he
You've got
talking about it?
millions of alts. Oh, I don't know, mate. But there was a meme, wasn't there, that Alex Becker successfully called the last 24 of the last 2 alt seasons or
Yeah.
something. Like, it's just like, fuck. I mean, there's no better way of putting it than that.
Yeah.
You're never going to get it again. So your choices are either get good or give up. And it's really that fucking simple. And, people who are trading actively these conditions, I completely understand why you're doing it. That was me in 2028 or 2018, not 2028, right? I'm not
Yeah.
fucking a time traveler. But that was me back then. That's what you have to do. You have to learn yourself. You have to learn your system. You have to build your system. You have to understand your limitations. Are you taking profit too early, too slowly, too quickly? What's working? What isn't? Like, yeah, all of that is, yeah, takes a long time to build that up, I think, or at least it did for me, right?
Yeah. Do you think
So
it's
I'm not trying to
still like
say,
no, go on.
look on. No, yeah.
Do you think it's like still worth it to get into at this point?
That's a really difficult question. I think from an investment perspective, outside of Bitcoin, no. I don't think it is at all. I think, if you're on a full-time job, you've got no hope of keeping up with the degenerates who have made millions and who are incabals, who get inside information, who do this day in, day out, and, you know, aren't afraid of losing a few $100,000 a day. Do you know what I mean? You can't compete with that. If you want to be like trading on the side to then eventually go into like a prop firm or something like that, like absolutely, that's like any other job or skill set. Why wouldn't you try and learn that if that's what you
Mm-hmm.
really want to do? That's what I really wanted to do because didn't want to be dependent on other people for a paycheck. Simple as that.
Yeah.
So I think the short way of answering that is it depends on your motivation, right? And it depends on what you want out of it. I don't think that this is an investor's market anymore. Put bluntly, like in altcoins in particular, I don't think that you're gonna outdo the people who get access to all the lovely seed rounds and all this kind of stuff. I just don't think you're gonna be able to compete with that. And you know, it's not a very like retail friendly environment anymore. It's more mass extract. But equally, there's runners every day, right? There was what's it called, Punch the Monkey, that went from like 100K to 35 million. And if you want to be an on-chain gambler, then go for it. But I do think that it is gambling. Now, Bitcoin is probably the only exception, or like ETH and Sol and like the big layer ones. You know, if you want to invest in those kind of over time, particularly Bitcoin, as I kind of explain my Bitcoin thesis, then that makes total sense to me. But yeah, unless you want to be a trader, yeah, I wouldn't tell my mates or my grandma. And my grandma's always my like how do I put it? Like my point of karmic reference, I suppose.
Yeah.
You know, would I be telling my grandma to buy here? No.
I really like. I find it kind of worrying that Bitcoin is in the state it's in. Like I kind of agree with what you said about the narratives, and yeah, I just really hope we can like kind of reinvent something for it to like the system collapsing is obviously not really in the interest of anyone, even if you have a lot of Bitcoin. And also just like
Yeah.
this kind of slow adoption that some people have like talked about now, where it's like kind of just getting absorbed into TradFi is also a bit makes you think like what was the point in the first place. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of wondering, like I agree that there probably will never be an alt season again like there was in 2021, and maybe it's just going to become a bit more like a TradFi related asset where we like slowly go up, similar to stocks, unless we like underperform everything again for like eternity from now on, like
Yeah.
the last couple of months. But I think there was also a lot of damage done from like leverage and 1010 and all of that. So
Yeah, that's what I kind of think. And you know, we're the canary in the coal mine, so to speak, aren't we, in terms of like risk appetite? Like Bitcoin goes and then everything else kind of goes. Like
yeah,
it's the it starts the descent because it's a
yeah,
risk on or risk off kind of, well, it's a high risk asset. So as soon as it starts going down, it's kind of like, well, okay, risk appetite in general is lower. So yeah, I don't know. I'm struggling with it, and this is my personal belief and conviction in the market. It's just not where it once was. If the sitting U.S. president can't kind of keep it in a strong uptrend, what kind of hope do we mere mortals have? Maybe it's all a big, accumulation tactic. Maybe it's something else. I don't know. I'm not smart enough to work it out.
yeah.
But I can't. I can't spot a better asset bubble, to kind of go and invest in. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't have. Do you know what? I'll just put 10 or 100 grand here for a couple of years, and I'll probably come back to it being 10, 20, 30, 40, 50x. Like,
Mhm.
I don't know where that is. Is it AI agents? I mean, everyone seems to be building them at the minute, though I've not really seen anything useful. What do they call it? Vibe coding.
Have you explored any other markets like metals or stocks?
Not really. I've got a tiny bit of like gold and silver and stuff, but it's nothing to write home about. Do you know what I mean? Like, I even tweeted about the Bitcoin gold ratio, like just as it broke out of a massive like accumulation range essentially, but I did
Yeah.
fuck all with it myself. Um, so yeah, I've got a lot of like index stuff. So like I've always put money in pensions and stuff like that because I'm boring. Um, but I've got no trading of like active trading of stocks or anything like that. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm just not. I kind of keep wanting to port over to TradFi,
Hmm.
but kind of again, it's what you're used to, and it can't be bothered.
I guess it's a luxury to be lazy about it.
Yeah, there's a quote, isn't there, about something like, "It's hard to be motivated when you wake up in silk sheets." And, I haven't done as well as a lot of people, but I'm comfortable. Like, I've got a couple of years runway, put it that way.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's it's a very nice position to be in, but it's also, at the back of 8 years of being terminally online
Mhm.
24/7. You check your phone periodically and see what's going on Twitter, and you're like, "Fuck, um, this protocol's, done whatever." Like, there's one coin, I'll just say it's BERT, it was a meme coin,
Mhm.
which I went pretty heavy into. And there was one day we had some friends around for dinner, and like I was chilling the fuck out of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Um, and I was literally sat downstairs and I checked my phone. I was like, that can't be fucking right. Like, some guys DM'd me like, I'm liquidated, blah blah blah. I was like, what the fuck you on about? This is at like 200 million market cap or something.
Yeah.
Like, it went down like 90% in the day
Oh,
after it went 200x the day before. I was like, what the fuck is this? So I like said, excuse me guys, I'm just gonna have to check something. I was like, oh
yeah.
fuck. It's literally like fucking wrecked people. It was just mental. And like, when I think about the kind of stress and the impact it can have on your life, like, especially like people, you see the upside of influencing, right? Which is obviously cold deals, seed rounds,
Mhm.
paid promotional stuff, and partnerships, all that kind of bollocks. But you don't kind of hear the people in DMs like, "Oh, I've just like liquidated my fucking life savings." Like,
Yeah.
you can disassociate yourself a little bit because you're like, well, that was your choice, but
Mhm.
equally, it's like it probably wouldn't have been on your radar if I didn't tweet about it.
Yeah.
But equally, there was a guy who offered me like $1 million because he made like 20 million out of Rune or something. I was like, no, mate, keep it because I ain't refunded everyone who. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I was like, keep it. I ain't refunding everyone who I've lost money because I'll be fucking broke.
Yeah. I mean, at the
But you
end
know
of
what I
the
mean?
day,
Like,
it's everyone for themselves. So
it is. The market's PvP, right? The whole idea of trading is, it's technically a net negative because I'm not trading against you. I'm trade like if the market was just me and you, right? The entire market, me and you could go band for band, keep going, keep going, keep going, but all the while the exchange in the middle is reaping in the fees.
yeah.
So, they're siphoning out of us. We could both start with $100. We're both like, one of us will end up with like 150, and the exchange will end up with the other 50. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's a tough game, especially if you're perp trading and stuff, and not just buying and fucking off for 4 years.
Do you have anything that you find
Yeah,
like interesting or are hopeful about? I feel like
yeah.
I need some like positive
You need
vibes
some hope. Sorry, I've been so
in this
negative. Yeah,
week.
yeah, yeah.
No, it's
So
not just you, but I feel
let's
like
go
it's also me on this podcast
in the
in general.
market. Yeah,
I
yeah,
need a
yeah.
bit more hope core.
All right, so let's talk about the positives of crypto. So one, I'm bullish Bitcoin. I still think that it is, a great asset. Only 21 million ever. I still think it runs to a million at some point for whatever reason. Now, that could just be opium, whatever. I do think that there's like, I think SocialFi was done really badly, and I'd like to see that done really well. So I genuinely think the combination of SocialFi, like, not in the terms of like InfoFi where people just tweeted shit and like good morning and got
Yeah, yeah,
replies and
that
all
was
that kind of
horrible.
stuff, but stuff where there's actually like a social credibility to your calls and to your karma and all that kind of stuff,
Hmm.
basically. So I think that, or like the ability to just like stick your PNL or whatever like directly into Twitter and be like, look, I'm a verified trader and blah blah blah, like do all that stuff. And it's not copy trading because I think copy trading comes with its own connotations of like, again, I've always toyed with it because I've seen people make fuck tons of money with copy trade accounts,
Hmm.
even though they're down like minus 70% or something stupid, still raking in the fees. Because that mechanism is stupid and only favors the calls. But anyway, enough of that. Uh, yeah, I think SocialFi is a big one.
Hmm.
I think there is like an AI, a space for like an AI marketplace and like agents and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I invested in a few things that I thought were going to do that, and they all kind of flopped, which was a bit of a shame. And like, round tripped a fair bit of money on quite a few of those. But I still think that yeah, if you can automate elements of real businesses using some form of like uh platform that is has a bullshit governance token or something, then that's probably a decent area. And privacy, like I know we've had the conversation about like ZEC and stuff like that, but privacy I still think is one of the core points of crypto. And I think with the global surveillance kind of increasing massively, in the UK, for example, there's draft legislation saying you can only have up to like $20,000 of stable coins, or so £20,000 of stable coins. So what the fuck? Like, I mean, yeah, okay. I've got 20,001, right? Off the jail you go, Charlie. You fucking you fucking cyber criminal, you. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's just fucking stupid.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be, there's not, speaking about the UK specifically, there's a lot of resentment towards the UK government, towards the tax system. The impression over here is that it's all a load of foreigners coming in and taking our jobs and all this stuff. And realistically, it's not that. They're doing all the jobs that we don't want to do. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not going to talk politics, but I guess my point is that the kind of hatred towards the governments will ultimately, I think, kind of create a push for more privacy, digital assets that aren't in the control of banks, that can just be seized at any point and all that kind of stuff. So I still think that's a big area. Still think there's a big area for crypto to succeed in.
Yeah, you reminded me. I'm actually a huge fan of Monero. I think that's like one of the only things that actually has a point, and it's also kind of like fitting in the original ethos of like privacy and then cypherpunk ideals. Even if it's like not the most popular one, or even if it only like went up a bit recently or whatever, and the price action usually isn't crazy or whatever, it's actually like you can use it for stuff, and it's like you can do something with it, which can't really be set against crypto assets. So it's
it's one of the one that I had. I had an alert for it at like 324. Completely ignored it today. So yeah, it's very much on my radar. But yeah, like you said, that there was a good rotation on it as well before, but I think that was like some hacker cashing out like 200 million or something, wasn't it? But it's a real use case. Yeah, can't argue with that. Like it's kind of doing as intended, right?
Yeah, I guess so. I think we've covered a lot of stuff. Or do you have like more and more to?
No, I think that's it. I genuinely think that this is going to turn into a trader's market. I think it already is a trader's market, not an investor's market. So if you want to be a trader, like now is a good time to fucking lock in and learn, right? Play the game while it's hard, and then you'll be ready for when it's easy. Because as much as I keep saying like it's not going to be an alt season, there will still be strong rotational seasons because people want to gamble, right? There will still be good runners. There will still be supply bundled pieces of fucking garbage, like Pippin, running 100x in a month, right? So there's kind of always opportunity as long as you can trade it, manage your risk, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, I think in general, I still think crypto is the best space to kind of focus and actually build that like trading muscle. As an investor though, it's pretty bleak.
A couple of times a year, there's free money on the floor. You just have to pick it up.
Yes, that's a great quote, and it's so true. It is so true. A lot of people would be better off taking 10 trades a year that they would bet their bollock on than 10 trades a day that they're just trying to, scalp 1%. But I am actually in the latter.
But that's why I kind of like having some cash on the side to be like a bit prepared for scenarios like that, because we're very often in the past I've been in crypto for a while, but I was like pretty resource constrained for most of the time. So like even though I was there for a lot of opportunities, I couldn't take advantage of them. And they're still gonna keep coming. Maybe they're gonna get like a bit less or a bit harder to access or whatever, but it's still always good to like pay attention, be there, and just like be ready to strike when the opportunity arises.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin's put in nearly like an 8% daily candle. Do you know what I mean? That's pretty
Yeah.
fucking remarkable. Like, I think we all take for granted, like, you could probably get filled for $1 million on Bitcoin, like, pretty fucking easily with, like, hardly any slippage.
Yeah.
And you could have made 10% in the last 24 hours on that. Like, that is, yeah, it's a fucking wild market. It's fucking wild. But, yeah. I'm probably never going to leave this space.
Do you have any last, like, words of wisdom or advice for people that you can impart on them?
Words of wisdom or advice? I think reflect on where you are, where you've been, and where you want to be. I think write it down, write a plan, know when you're doing well and when you're not. Like, the only genuine progress that I've made is when I've done that and I've been pretty rigid with myself and reviewed my goals. You know, I want to be at X by Y. Yeah. If I said to myself, I want 250,000 followers by the end of the year, I'm going to put 10 bits of content out every day. I'm going to write a guide every week, a YouTube video every week, do whatever, right? If I'm doing all that and like working towards my goal and I've got 1,000 followers this week, 1,000 followers next week, and so on, it becomes really easy to track. I know I'm just using that as like a completely different adage, but
Yeah.
you know, for me, it's writing it down. Yeah, a lot of people come to crypto and say, "I want to make $1 million." Oh, that's really cool. How the fuck are you going to do that? And yeah, guide your time.
I think that's good.
That's
Good
probably
advice.
it.
Thank you very much for coming on. This has been
But no, cheers, mate. Thank you for having me on.
and
Sorry, I'm not super bullish.
that's fine. That's fine.